entertainment, current events, and Hollywood. Don't miss Creator to Creators, hosted by the filmmaker Meosha, known for the Shudder hit documentary Horror Noir and the acclaimed film Anatomy of an Anti-Hero, Redemption. This show features interviews with filmmakers and creatives from around the globe. Join the fun with guest celebrities and gain valuable insights. Subscribe now and follow Creator to Creators.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators Today we have a special guest.
Bram.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. I love going back to the beginning. I always say the beginning kind of like our little habits that we pick up along the way kind of charts our trajectory and kind of where we're going in life. Little things that we pick up follow us as we're in our adulthood. Tell me a little bit about your childhood. What was that like? And kind of how did you find your way into music and all the creative world?
I'm a child. I'm not that young. And I'm a child of TV. I mean, I grew up with all that 60s TV. And I can quote shows. That's how I got into acting eventually, was because I was just so into that stuff. But the defining moment that set me on a musical trajectory was being 6 years old and sitting on the floor with my family Sunday night. Ed Sullivan's coming on. I'm hoping I'm going to see Topo Gigio, the little Italian mouse, which I used to love. And on comes these four guys, the Beatles, and just blew my mind. I mean, I was transfixed, and I definitely wanted to be Paul McCartnney. So, like, from day on, I want to play bass, and I want to sing like Paul. I want to dress like that, and at the same time, later on, a few years later, you're watching Batman, you're watching all these different things, and which is funny because I also own Internal Arts, which teaches internal Chinese martial arts.
Wow, nice.
So when we were recording our first album, our first 45 actually, I was delivering meat to Chinese restaurants and all different places like that to make some money. And I wound up connecting with the president of the New England branch of the Eastern United States Kung Fu Federation.
Wow.
And he started teaching me, and I learned one-on-one, 12 years one-on-one in the back of that Chinese restaurant, and inherited the system when he passed away. So there you go. I went music and the Batman stuff. So there's the martial arts. It's, Bruce Lee as Kato and Green Hornet, that kind of stuff. But anyway, I wanted to be Paul McCartney. And at 11 years old, I was in a band playing bass, the violin-shaped bass, and singing like Paul McCartney. And then my cousin went to Boston to a club called the Boston Tea Party, and it was in 1968, brand new band. She brings me the first album. It's Led Zeppelin's first album.
Oh yeah.
And I went, okay, I'm teaching myself how to play guitar. I'm going to sing high, and get into that thing. My good friend Steve was very into drums, and I had played drums first. So I had a drum set there, and we started working on that. And I taught this other kid how to play bass, instant band.
Nice.
And then it went through some changes, different players. I don't know, Steve was with us for a while, then he wasn't, then he was, then he wasn't. And in 1991, in the 80s, we had a different drummer, and we had a lot of success in Europe. We're on the pirate radio stations in England that they did the movie about, and we're in the singles review in Kerrang with Phil Collins on the cover in 85, and we were in the singles review with Blue Oyster the Cult, Metallica, and the Rolling Stones, and Roger Daltrey. Which is funny because here's a connection. The Roger Daltrey thing is, when I was 9 years old, my first concert I ever went to, my father knew how much I was into the Beatles and the British Invasion. He took me to see Herman's Hermits.
Wow.
The opening act for Herman's Hermits, this band came out with ruffled shirts and colored clothes and playing loud, crazy music, and then they destroyed their equipment at the end. It was The Who. The Who was the opening act for Herman's Hermits. And later on in the late 80s, my band opened up for John Entwistle from The Who when he did his solo tour. That kind of came full range. But yeah, so 91, when the Ruby Topaz, I had the Success broke up, I started playing with Steve again, who I've known since grade school. And he's in the band now.
Love that.
And that's Ruby Topaz came about. The original band that Steve was in was called Shir, Shir, which in Hebrew means music,
Nice.
but it's
Love
pronounced
that.
Shir, like Sheer. And in the 60s, always plastic and shit. So it just kind of all tied together. But at one point, after Steve had left the band, and we had the other version right before the 80s version, somebody said, yeah, I should change the name. And to what? What's your birthstone? I said, Topaz. And they went, what birthstone would go with Topaz? I'm naming all these birthstones. And then somebody said Ruby Topaz. Ooh, Ruby Topaz, Alice Cooper, Glitter Rock, Glam. Yes, Ruby Topaz. And then as time went on, because we were a glam band, because I saw Alice Cooper when I was 13, and he blew my mind. And I was like, oh, theater and music. You could put it together and
Yeah.
do both.
Yeah.
So we were glam from hell. Like we bombs, flash pots, glitter, like crazy stuff. So after a while, just like Vincent Fernier, they started calling him Alice Cooper, even though the band's name was Alice Cooper. People started calling me Alice Cooper.
I love that. I love that.
So
That's
this new
cool.
project that we're doing now is actually an album from 2001, which was the first record that I did post. I took a hiatus because I went through this custody battle to get custody of my son and
Mm,
using touring and this stuff against me. So I had to give up playing for a while to raise my son.
right, right.
So when he got old enough that I could stop playing again, and we had done all our albums in big studios, huge studios with Neve boards, SSL, MCI, all this kind of stuff. I had bought some home stuff. I started recording at home. And we did this project, which wound up being called Mark Bram Ruby Topaz Again, which means I'm back as Ruby Topaz again. Here I am.
Love
And
that.
what
How
happened was, go ahead.
how does it feel to be back? Like, what does it feel like?
Oh, it was just I went from being Ruby Topaz to Adam's dad. You know what I mean? And to reclaim that again, to be
Yeah.
that persona, it was just I felt like I came home again
Mm,
to
I
being
love
who
that.
I am. And it was just great. And I love that record. But I recall, well, let me tell you a little bit about that record. We like right now, I'm in my studio and it is amazing. I mean, I don't know if I can do this now, if you can see this, but
Yeah.
see my rack here.
Yeah. Amazing. Wow.
I've got tons of vintage gear,
I
tube
love it.
uh limited edition channel strips of like the Sound Techniques channel strip that Bowie recorded Ziggy Stardust and Hunky
Wow.
Dory on and Alice Cooper did Muscle of Love and Paul McCartney, all these different people. Hey Jude was recorded on the Sound Techniques A range.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I've got all this great stuff. And the last record we did before this one, Rabbit Hole, which is a great record. I encourage people to go check it out.
Check it out.
Yeah, the first song on their Rabbit Hole was an homage to the 1966 Beatles album Revolver. And I used all the equipment that was used on that. The Red 47 mic pre, the 1, 2, 3, 4 compressor, the Fairchild compressor, the 2BQ,
Wow.
the U47 microphones, the SG, the Casino, the U720 Vox amp. I used all the same equipment, backwards guitar, sitar, 12-string electric. So I have all this great.
Love it.
Now, when I did Mock Ruby Topaz again, I had bought this AW44 16 track digital recorder with a 16 track mixer built in. Very basic,
Nice. Yeah. Yeah.
and I had a nice channel strip and a tube mic and stuff and a Lexicon reverb, but not a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And when I mastered it on my computer with little Boston acoustic speakers. And
Wow.
it sounded great. Everybody loved it, but to me, after recording, Rabbit Hole, it didn't come close sonically. So, I took the 2 track masters. because I didn't, I mean, the 2-track original stuff, I didn't have the multi-tracks anymore. And I upsampled them to 96K, threw them into Cubase and ran them through all my stuff.
Nice.
Console, and then into a 24-track multi-track tape plugin to emulate the non-linearities of recording on a 24-track tape. And then into compressors and down to a 2-track tape emulation to do that non-linear. And then I sent it to Christian Wright at Abbey Road in London, who does all my mastering, and said, make it sound pretty. And,
Right.
and he did that, and it came out sounding so awesome. And we added 3 more bonus tracks, a
Awesome.
song called Far, Far Away, which was as if I was away from my son and I wanted to see him again.
Hmm.
And when he was a child, he says, Daddy, you're the one I love at the very end of the song.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And then we
Love
did a
that.
cover of ELO's Getting to the Point, and we did a medley cover of Temptation Eyes by the Grassroots into 25 or 624 by Chicago, and all the horns are guitar synthesizer.
Love that.
But this
Which-
album, there's a story behind the album and the fact that when I started to record it, my drummer Steve, when we record, Steve plays drums, I play guitar, and we play live, and then I add everything else.
Wow.
The keyboards, the vocals, I mix it, I produce it. But Steve loved to race, and he got into an accident. He hurt his back.
Oh no.
Do a track, and you comment, I can't, so I'd play the drums. And then the next track, you comment, no, I can't. So the album got finished, and I did everything on it.
Yeah.
But I wanted him to be part of it. And we had done 4 tracks in another session, and I added that to it. So it would still be the band.
Right. Right.
And that's what we have.
Wow.
Sorry
Wow.
for being so
No,
long-winded.
this is great. No, this is I love hearing the process of how it all comes together. It sounds absolutely amazing. Was there any songs on there or has there been any songs that kind of you've made so many that was kind of tough to get through that actually also expanded you and made you kind of grow in a way?
Well, not really, but
Yeah.
because when I write songs, my songs are deeply, deeply autobiographical.
Mm.
I've said this in other interviews that, people who know me hear the song and go, I was there. That's exactly what happened. I mean,
Right.
so exact. And when I write the song, when I'm going through the turmoil or whatever, I put on a recorder and I stop playing and I hum. And then when I play it back, the song is finished and the hums sound like words. So I start to get it to rhyme. And then there's the song. But also in my head, the production is there.
Yeah.
Let the song Loneliness. I wrote that song on the piano when I was 16 years old.
Oh,
This is
wow.
going to tie into what you're asking me. And it is my Bohemian Rhapsody. In
Love
fact,
that.
I wrote it during the time Bohemian Rhapsody came out. And it has a pretty piano thing in the beginning like Bohemian Rhapsody. But instead of opera in the middle, it's big band swing jazz.
Wow.
All the lead trombone, lead saxophone, lead trumpet, brass sections are all guitar. So when I wrote it and I heard it in my head, I went, I'm never going to be able to do this. How am I going to get all these music? It'll cost me $1 million to get all these people to come. It's never going to happen. But when I recorded this record, technology was such that I could do it. So it
Yeah.
finally was realized. The picture in my head that I heard when I first wrote it when I was 16 in 2001 was realized when I recorded this record. So that's the answer to that question.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Do you find, and I love asking everyone this question, and I think that it's amazing when you do and when you do, but just curious, do you think you found your purpose in life?
Oh yeah.
Love that. Love that.
Okay, let me explain that. And it ties in with what I teach.
Mm.
I teach internal Chinese martial arts, what people think of as Tai Chi. But
Yes.
original Tai Chi is a deadly martial art. And the way I found this out is when I first started learning from my teacher, I was learning Silam, which is Shaolin, Cantonese for Shaolin, kung fu. And, being a musician, I had done some substances you probably shouldn't do. And I had a bad experience and I found that I had hypoglycemia. And then when you had to clean out. So when I started to clean out, I started having panic attacks. And they tested me and said, you have hypoglycemia. And at the time, it was new. People didn't know what hypoglycemia. You have to go on a diet. And I quit doing everything, drugs, everything. Then, 45 years ago, I quit everything and never did it again. But when I went for my lesson, I said to my teacher, I said, Sifu, I feel like I'm all crazy. I'm so nervous. Oh, I teach you Tai Chi. I go, Tai Chi at someone in the park. He goes, oh, yeah? You tried to knock me over. Little skinny guy. I lifted weights. I carried beef, 200 pounds of beef piece on my shoulder. I got to push this guy, and I can't knock him over. He stood on one leg. I couldn't move him. He goes,
Wow.
I push you now. I go, okay. I get down like this. I swear. He goes like this. And I felt electricity hit me in the chest. And I went flying. I'm getting goosebumps. I went flying airborne off my
Wow.
feet into the cooler. And then I said, I slipped. Let me get down again, like a stupid American. And I get, and he does it again effortlessly. Then
Wow.
he says, punch me in the face. I said, excuse me? He goes, punch me in the face. I go, fast, hard? He goes, yeah. I threw a shot. He blocked it, came around, grabbed my gland. I felt electricity shooting through my face. I went, okay, I want to learn this. I had no idea that it was superior to what I was learning.
Mm.
Now, it's a Taoist martial art. And the philosophy in the fighting is that you don't move till it gets here. Because if you don't move till it gets here, you may never, ever have to fight.
Mm.
And when it gets here, it's too late for them to counter. So it's done. That's life. If you worry about things that are going to happen, they may never happen. And you worried for nothing. And if they do happen, you're so stressed out from worrying about it that you can't deal with it. So the
Right.
best thing to do is to live in the moment, be aware of your surroundings. And when you have to make the decision, make the decision. I live my life that way. When we were going through COVID, it was my wife's greatest phobia from the time she was a child in Russia. She came here when she was 10. A pandemic that would that would affect your lungs. It was nice. She had nightmares about it as a kid, and then it
Yeah.
happened, and she was freaking out.
Yeah.
And we were sitting watching Jeopardy. And I go, Katya, if there was no pandemic, we'd still be sitting on the couch watching Jeopardy. What's different?
Wow. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And having my wife, who I love, and painting pictures with sound, which is what I feel I do, recording and playing, and my grandchildren, and my son and my daughter-in-law, who I love, and my friends who are just so dear to me, and my students become my friends because I own internal arts. I teach, and you get involved in their lives. They come to your house, you go to their house. The meaning of life is to be happy, is
Mm.
to learn and evolve and leave the place better than when you got here. And yeah, I found the meaning of life. I feel happy.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. I have a fun question, and I love asking every artist this. But if you could be managed by any artist, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Wow, managed. I'm going to change that because I'm a massive control freak. There's no such thing as somebody managing me. That doesn't happen. They can suggest we can collaborate. Not managing. But I would love, first of all, Paul McCartney is my idol.
Ah,
I would love to meet Paul. So I almost met Paul. He almost killed me. We went to go see the Flowers in the Dirt tour, and I got invited back to be part of the audience, 1,000 people when they shot the things for the movie. And as I was leaving at night, I was talking to some people, and a car came by, almost ran me over, and I fell into the side of the car, and the window pulled out. Sorry, and it was Paul. And for the first time in my life, I was speechless, and he drove away.
wow.
Met
Wow.
Brian May from Queen. I met Alice Cooper when I was 15. We partied in the hotel room. We were, yeah, I've met a bunch of people. I was on Amistad. I sat next to Steven Spielberg. I mean, But Paul made me speechless. I would love to meet Paul, and I would love to meet Pete Townsend. Because Quadrophenia was a soundtrack of my adolescence, and I was
Nice.
very influenced by his songwriting. And when I read his autobiography, and I see him searching spirituality stuff, the stuff I teach would be so up his alley. I wish I could speak.
Yeah,
And he's such an interesting guy, and I would love to meet him. So those are two people that really stand out for me.
I love that. That's great. Another question, and there's no wrong answer, but the three levels of influence: money, power, and respect. And if you could choose only one of those things, which one would you choose and why?
Respect. Um, Look, let's face it, the way the music business runs right now, I'm not making
Yeah,
it. Okay. Um, I feel that I have a good sense of myself, so I already have power.
yeah.
I know who I am. Uh, Respect is, look, I wanted to be a musician because I wanted to sleep with a lot of women and make a lot of money. That was, that was you're a kid. That's what starts that, you know. It's also the fame thing of wanting to be loved by a lot of people. And
Mm,
and it's funny because I'm a weird person. And one of the reasons why I wanted to be an entertainer. I wanted to act, I wanted to play, but I wanted to meet people. When I used to watch Johnny Carson, it was like, oh, I want to be there. I want to be on the panel and meet all these people and talk to them and connect with them. I love connecting with people.
yeah.
So the respect has to be added. I don't, the respect sounds too much like power. I want to be
Mm,
liked. I want to be liked and I want to connect and I want to give and take because it helps me. Look, a lot of times I've taught people who are very, very learned in their profession.
yeah,
And even if I know about the stuff, I pretend I don't know anything.
yeah.
Because when I say, I don't know about this. Can you explain it to me? I learn. So I
Mhm.
shut up and I listen, and they tell me all this great stuff. And then I get to learn.
I love that. That's great. I think that's awesome. I find that so interesting that that is the time that we're living in now. Like music now is so different than it was, years ago. I think music, it's just, I don't think now it's about the quality, or I think they're just pumping out music because you see a different artist like every day. TikTok is just taken off with artists, and now you can just make a hit song overnight and have like this major deal.
Become
So I
pro.
just right. Do you feel that music is in favor of the artist now,
No,
or
I did
no?
not.
Okay.
Back in my day, I sound like an old guy, which I am. In my day, the record companies were about art.
Yeah.
They would take an artist and groom them. And if their first album didn't do well, that's fine. Second, they give them like 3 albums to get their footing if they believed in the artist and they thought they had talent. And that was important. It's about the art. To me, it's all about the art. I consider myself, excuse me, consider myself an artist,
Hmm.
whether it's a martial artist or an actor or a musician or a producer or an engineer. It's all about art. You're creating something that moves people.
Yeah, absolutely. You have, and by the way, you have a beautiful voice. I
Oh,
I listened to the song and I played it on the speakers and I was like, whoa. Like
wow.
I don't know what to expect, but it actually, I felt like I was having it was a very healing. So it's a great song, but I felt for a second I was just gone. I closed my eyes and I just got lost into the voice of the music. I feel like, so most of the times now we listen to music and it's about a beat. It's not about going somewhere. And I feel like that there's artistry, there's real artistry like yourself, and then there's the products that people are, they're just a thing of, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a place for it, but I just think that, like you said, music is about, it's like to make people feel something, to change them, to, because I feel like life is just crazy, and we need somewhere to go. And when we listen to a song, a place to, that's not where we are now or existing in the moment. So thank you for doing that. Did you always know? Like, when did you know that you had like a gift? Because your voice is just wow,
Well, first of
amazing.
all, first of all, thank you.
Of
Second,
course.
you're very sweet and very perceptive about the art thing. And I never think of myself that way.
Wow.
I just emote. I just do. It's funny because I get a lot of notoriety from my guitar playing. And, we do these fusion instrumental jams that were influenced by Mahavishnu Orchestra and Jeff Beck. And, Jimmy Page to me was my teacher because I learned off of that. And then it just went to all this other stuff and so influenced by so many things. The pop of the 60s, the Fifth Dimension, the Grassroots, the Carpenters, Burt Bacharach, uh, John Barry, who did all the soundtracks to the Sean Connery James Bond movies, and the 60s British invasion, and then later all the glam rock, and then Edgar Winter and the blues and jazz. And it's just so many different influences. So I just soak this in and just
Mm.
it becomes part of you. So then people would say, oh, you're such a good guitar player. Well, what about this scale? And I go, I don't know. I'm playing. I'm
Yeah.
singing in my head and then I'm playing it. And then my voice is part of my guitar. My guitar is part of my voice. I was playing a gig. This guy comes up to me and goes, can you teach me how to play guitar? I said, I don't know theory. I don't know anything. I don't know how to teach you. He goes, no, I went to Berkeley. I know theory. I just don't know how to play like you do. And he had money. And I
Mm.
said, all right, give you a lesson. Go to his house. It was at night. We go in. I go, shut off all the lights and play. He goes, what? Shut off all the lights and play. If it sounds wrong, it is. If it doesn't, it's not. Just play what you feel,
I love that.
So I don't think of myself that way. I was very influenced vocally by Freddie Mercury, Robert Plant, Roger Daltrey, and then all the Beatles stuff and all the female voices. Mama Cass Elliot from we fool around at rehearsal with Dream a Little Dream of Me. I would do the Juice Newton version of Angel of the Morning and Sweetest Thing. I mean, that's my range. I like to emote. And
Yeah.
that's what I like to do. So I never went, oh, I got a gift. No, I just go for it. And if people like it, that's cool. And it makes me feel good, which made me feel very good. What you said, that was very nice.
Of course. No, and I love that. Absolutely. I love that. That's literally what it is. It's you're just doing what you love. And and that's in turn is helping people that, yeah, I mean, you might not never meet, but someone listens to your song and just are healed, or they look at life differently, or they feel better, or it stops them from it. I feel like that's what it's all about, right? And I love what you said. It's not that you have a gift, it's like you just do what you love, and that's it. And but it's I don't know, it just comes from a place where I feel like there's just, I don't know, there's some people that just reach this, like you got your Michael Jacksons, or you have your Shares, or you have, those
Yep.
Paul McCartney. It's just somehow they just kind of tap into another realm almost. It's so interesting to me. I find it very interesting. So
It's funny when you
thank you.
thank you. When you brought up when we talked about product and things built around beats, a lot of that started in the 80s when songs are built around a particular patch of a synthesizer.
Hmm.
They got a sound, they put that thing happening, and then they sang some stuff over it. But
Yeah.
it wasn't a song.
Yeah.
I write, this is going to sound weird, but when you listen to my stuff, you'll realize it. I write pop songs, 60s singable pop songs, and then I screw them up by adding hard rock guitar and time changes and stuff like that to turn it into something unique and different. But I could take an acoustic guitar or sit at the piano and play that for you, and it's a song. And not all songs are like that.
Right. Yeah. I love that. Um, are you okay? So what are you working on, anything right now that you would like to share with the audience?
Well, there's two things. One is a song that I had released um, as a single a while ago, but and it was on a second album, but I want to redo it. And I had done an alternate version with some harmony guitars. There's a song called Blue Moon,
Nice.
which it's kind of an anti-suicide song in the
Mm.
respect that like the one of the okay, the opening says there's a it's funny because my parents used to go, "Oh, you wrote this beautiful song and then you screwed it up," because in the beginning there's a string section and a lone guitar and I'm singing by myself, and then we come in and we start slamming. And there's a
Nice.
video of us actually doing it on my YouTube channel, Mr. Ruby Topaz, but it's called Blue Moon. It says there are times in my life when I feel like I will always be lonely,
Mm.
when all my friends go home without me, which means they find themselves and you
Mm.
have it. And that's not really where I stand. I've always felt good, but I thought that was good to put in there. And I feel like I've sunk so low that they're never going to find me. But just when you think that it's all said and done, the sun shines through. And then the song starts playing. So one verse says, one chorus says, once in a blue moon, there comes a time when you will feel happy, when pain and loneliness disappear from your head. There'll come a time when you realize that the light of love can find you, and that light shone when you came home to me. Then the next one says, once in a blue moon, there comes a time when you'll feel unhappy, when pain and loneliness forms a cloud around your head. But there'll come a time when you realize that the light of love can find you, and that light shone when you came home to me. Now, obviously, when I write that song, and it usually has to do with a woman, but a lot of people took it as religious, that they found, you know what I
Mm.
mean, which makes you,
Interesting.
yeah,
Huh. I
that the
like
light
that.
of love can mean a lot of different things.
A lot of, and I think that's the thing. And I love that about artistry. Like everyone is gonna come like take away something, differently. And I
Right.
find that's always fun. That's always fun. Um, so that's really cool. Also, where can people find you on social media to follow you?
Okay. First of all, this is terrible. People are gonna flame me for this. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not all that stuff. I barely have between teaching and recording and writing and playing and I do all the cooking in my house and my grandkids. I don't have the time to be. I barely have time to check my email. Don't have the time for that. But I have a great website, www.rubytopaz.com.
All right.
Have a YouTube channel, Mr. Ruby Topaz. You will find films of us with the makeup from 1985. You will find us at rehearsal doing quirky covers for fun, like Wichita Lineman by Glenn Campbell. He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother by the Hollies. Um, uh, I Can't Quit You Into How Many More Times by Led Zeppelin. Uh, it's one of the ones we did recently that was just so good. We got a ton of stuff like that, and a lot of fusion instrumental jams that we make up as we go along, and it sounds like it was written. But
I
there's
love
also a lot of gear demos. I'm a big proponent of the Line 6 Helix. I have a 5-foot pedal board with 3 guitar synthesizers, a Helix, and all these different things. We're a 3-piece band live. In the studio, it's me and Steve, DeAndrea. My live bass player is Steven Fassbender, and he's amazing bass player. He learns my bass play parts exactly off the record. I turned to him, I can't believe it sounds like the record. But then when we
that.
other stuff, he does his own stuff. He's amazing. And I have a very dear friend, Chris Hallam, who was in the band when we were in high school. And he was in the band for a while with us in the 2000s, and he comes over and jams too. So we make that. But we're a 3-piece band, and I have to cover this stuff live that has all these overdubs, and I do not use backing tracks. So when a string section comes in, I take the volume pedal, I bring in the guitar synth, and there's the strings in the back, or the
Love
organ,
it.
or the horn section. So we do that live. So there's a bunch of gear demos on there. My music you can buy. I firmly believe in physical copies. I have
Yes.
Because I was a kid, I had an album and I listened to it and look at the pictures. So when I do a release, like Rabbit Hole has an 8-page booklet in the middle, and this one has a 12-page booklet with all pictures and stuff like that. That's at Bandcamp. So if you go to Bandcamp and search for Ruby Topaz, you will find those 2 CDs there. We're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're everywhere. I
Right.
highly recommend people check it out because my music is very diverse. You'll
Yes.
get something in your face. On this album, there's a song called, it's going to be funny, but a song called This Town, which when I listened to it back, I realized subconsciously was highly influenced by a 60s hit by Bobby Gentry called Ode to Billy Joe.
Nice.
Has that feel to it.
I
So
love
you
it.
can go from ballads to blues to funk to hard rock. It's all on there.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so. I could talk to you all day. This show is only 30 minutes, but please come back. Please come back anytime. It was very lovely talking to you.
There's like on my
And
place on my website with email. You can always contact me, and you can contact who set us up. And if you ever need to
yes,
touch me for anything, feel free to get in touch with me.
I will. I will.
It was
Thank you
great
so much
meeting you.
again.
I love talking to you. You're very easy to talk to. It was very
Oh,
cool.
thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.